if Leeds right now, or if Leeds in January are not top of the table, in my opinion, why would James McAtee come? Well, top of the morning to you. Hope you're all doing fantastically well. It's Connor. We're back here with another One Leeds vlog. What is going on, people? Let me know in the comment section below. What are you up to today? Is it cold where you are? It's bloody freezing here. We're gonna have to walk in the sun. I mean, there's not a lot of sun here, but there we go. We're gonna have to walk in the sun. There's too much shade around, but it's a nice crisp morning. Do you know what, everybody? It makes me thankful to live in the UK sometimes when you do see the changing of the seasons. By God, we're in that change period right now. So if you've not checked out the USA vlog, make sure you do so, everybody. Really love that trip, and I want to be doing more of that. I want to be doing more of that in the UK. I want to be doing more of that in Ireland. I want to be doing more of that in Spain. We've got Spanish viewers as well on the channel. I want to be doing more of that as well in the US of A. So if you've enjoyed that, make sure you go ahead and watch that. We've got more bits coming out as well. We are sponsored, as always, on the channel by IPM Group UK, people. All your security, surveillance needs. Make sure you check out Rick and the gang. Link is in the description below. Keep it in the Leeds United community. And today, we're going to be speaking about a few bits on the room mill. I wanted to start off with Mr. James McAtee. Now, we were speaking the other night about recruitment, about targets, and Leeds United's recruitment and talent identification has been nothing short of mesmeric, in my opinion, nothing short of superb, especially in the summer months when you look at the likes of Al Tanaka, you look at the Joe Rothwell loan, you look at Ramazani. These are top additions at, for me, very, very affordable and very sort of good prices. So we're going to be getting into that in a little bit when it comes to recruitment and talent ID. But talent ID, once again, would be, if that was to come in the form of James McAtee, I've mentioned this on a couple of videos, I think maybe there's a little bit more there than people actually think with McAtee. Now, the thing that I've mentioned previously is I do believe if West Ham lose McAtee, that's going to be their target. But I've mentioned this previously as well. I think Leeds United personally, and I'll get hammered as well by Sheffield United fans for this, but I think a Leeds United proposition right now, you know, our evolution from the Championship into the Premier League is a bit more of an attractive prospect than Sheffield United in the Premier League, who are just automatically going to get relegated every time they get up there. So I think Leeds right now, if they're able to almost sell the project to someone like James McAtee, I think that would be an unbelievable bit of business if we can do that in January. But this is where Leeds' form has to come into the conversation, everybody. If Leeds right now, or if Leeds in January are not top of the table, in my opinion, why would James McAtee come? You know, that's the conversation we've got to be having right now. You've got to think to yourself, this has got to be an almost guaranteed project for James McAtee. I think it's maybe a little bit more likely than people are making out. I don't think that this would be a bad move at all for McAtee. There is murmurs on the Man City end, and I can tell you this for a fact, that he will be loaned out in January. I'm not 100% sure that, you know, that they want to sell him as such in January. But if Leeds could get him on a loan with maybe an option to sign him in the summer, when we get promoted, you know, but this is why it's so important Leeds being top of the tree in January, because if we're not top of the tree in January, McAtee's going to be thinking, well, I'm not going to be playing Premier League football next season. You've got to almost be in that position to attract some of the best players, and McAtee is one of those. So really interesting right there. But James McAtee is what a signing that would be. Unbelievable. I mean, that would be, alongside Tanaka, the sign of the window. Call me deluded, but I've just got a little sneaky feeling if Leeds really went for it with the backing that we've got, with how we're set up right now, I think we could get something like that done. I really do, especially with almost a guarantee that we're going to be at Premier League level, because it pretty much would have to be a near-on guarantee for McAtee to come to Leeds. I wanted to speak about Mateo Joseph as well, the style of goal that he is scoring consistently for the under-21s. We mentioned this several times at the beginning of the season with Mateo Joseph. You've got to be high volume when it comes to certain chances that you create. And now the Spanish national side, all the way back to Capdevila, Jordi Alba, you know, Carvajal when he first came through, even Ramos when he was playing right back for them in games. Look, at the start of his career, it was all about cutbacks. It's all about getting to the byline, cutting back for the centre forward, cutting back to David Villa and Fernando Torres back then. You know, cutting back for Alvaro Morata, cutting back for strikers that they'd have over the years. That has been the Spanish way, you know, picking apart teams in that sort of middle phase. and getting the ball out to their wingers, which have essentially been fullbacks. you've seen the wingers actually invert more often than not for the Spanish national side, and the fullbacks becoming wingers, of which we're seeing absolutely take over the game right now when it comes to possession-based football and fullbacks becoming wingers. Now, what do? They get to the byline and cut it back, and every single goal you see Mateo Joseph score is a cutback. So then you've got to ask yourself the question, do you almost mould the team around Mateo Joseph? Well, he doesn't score enough goals, Connor. Well, yeah, okay, fine, I'll take that point. So if he doesn't score enough goals, what do you do then? What do you do? Because you can't just say, score more goals. You've got to offer a solution. And that's what feel we do on this channel a lot, hence why it's, when we're criticising, it's criticism, it's constructive, it's not negative and pessimistic, because we offer a solution. So I think you've got to mould the team around him. Whether or not that be, you get Peru in the team, which you can do. People seem to think it's just Peru or Joseph. Doesn't have to be like that whatsoever. When you actually get them on the pitch at the same time, it's actually very good levels of production. I would suggest that you need to almost mould the team around Mateo Joseph. And what do I mean when I say that? I think, for example, this weekend, if you start in Mateo Joseph, you've got to start Schmidt. Why? Because Schmidt gets to the byline. He's evidently better on his left side than what Sam Byram is. And it doesn't matter if it's an away game, because Leeds United should be winning nigh on every single away game. And we shouldn't be going into a game where we've not won an away game in 4. And we should be trying to win the game. So I would rather go for a more aggressive attacking approach than a conservative approach in Sam Byram. But that's just one instance of which, when you're utilising rotation, in my opinion, you've got to start an attacking fullback who hits the byline. So that's one of the solutions. I think another solution is you've got to encourage someone like Man or Solomon to start hitting the byline. You've got to start encouraging, especially when you've got Mateo Joseph there. And I think these are the things that we've got to be encouraging guys. Look, inversion's great, and we see it with a lot of our team. Willian Yonto likes to invert a hell of a lot when he just sort of moves onto that left-hand side, which he does throughout games when he sort of changes maybe with Dan James or changes with Ramazani. But you've got to start hitting that byline and putting that ball into the box, because Mateo Joseph's movement is so good in that area. We saw him miss a cutback against QPR, but we saw him score a cutback against Hull City. And this is the thing, everybody. You look at that goal in particular, Man or Solomon hit the byline, okay? Doesn't do that enough. We need to start hitting the byline a hell of a lot more when Joseph's in there, because Joseph is suffering. So have you got to mould the team around the Spaniard in that sense? I think you've got to get the best production levels from him. Interesting thought. Willian Yonto, again, didn't feature for the Italian side the other day. Interesting. Hoping he's okay. Keep an eye on that one going into the weekend, of course. We can't afford to lose him. I think his production levels, once again, discussing that, are going to go through the roof when Ramazani's back. And I can't wait to see Largy back in this side. Also, Dan James, not a great performance from him the other night for the Welsh national side, but we move. Look, I keep talking about byline. This is a man who you want on that byline, because that production level in and around that byline, someone like Dan James is going to massively aid Mateo Joseph, because that's all he does. He just hits that byline. And I think someone like Mateo Joseph is always going to benefit from Dan James within that side. We actually need more of our wingers. We need them to learn from Dan James in that aspect. So, yeah, look, I think I wanted to just finalise this video with a little bit of a conversation about talent ID and recruitment. Now, look, I mentioned at the very beginning that Leeds United's talent ID, in my opinion, in the summer was probably the best in the division. Us and Sheffield United, as I sip from this coffee, apologies. Probably the best in the division. Tanaka standing out as literally the best signing for value in the Championship this season. So, do I think we'll do anything in January? I don't. But if they do something in January, I really like the odds here. This is why I keep talking about Schmidt. I keep talking about Schmidt because they've had such a good hit rate with these cheap players that they brought in. Even when you look at Ramazani, is that a cheap player based on what he's going to go for? In the end, it probably will be. But they've got such a good hit rate that I want to see Leeds go back in again. Look, Is the sign that we brought in someone like Gilovogi as a free agent, is that maybe indicative of Leeds maybe not going in again? And look, their business is all done. They're signed, sealed and delivered. If Verba goes, Gilovogi can act as a centre-back. If another centre midfielder goes out the picture, Gilovogi comes in, you know. These are all things that Leeds will have considered as well. But yeah, for now, everybody, I don't think they're going to do that much in the summer, in the January transfer window, I should say. But if they do, I'm very, very encouraged by what we've seen. Very, very encouraged by what we've seen. I think Leeds' recruitment has gone up a level, and I think the summer is indicative of that. Rudolph the Red-Nosed Reindeer is signing off right now, everybody. Make sure you slap a like in the comment section below. We will have another US vlog out tonight. Make sure you're keeping an eye on that one. It's just interesting. Bit of different concept for you guys as well. It's been an absolute pleasure. I'll see you in a bit.